democracy. Please give Jeffrey a warm round of applause where he will share some remarks for the Hong Kong community.
Hi, it's good to be back in New York. I used to live in New York and I was at NYU, and a couple of years ago I did come to the march for Taiwan at the UN, and then I moved to Toronto and now I'm based in DC. For the past 3 months I was in Hong Kong to be part of the anti-extradition protests, but obviously now that the extradition bill has been completely withdrawn, that the protests continue, because Hong Kongers know that our fight is so much more than just one piece of legislation. It is about the future of our city and our territory. What I want to say is that Taiwanese representation at the United Nations was lost in 1971 because that was the year that what they used to call Red China, which is currently the Chinese mainland, entered into the United Nations. What is probably lesser known outside of Hong Kong is that the same incident resulted in another episode in early 1972, which was the removal of Hong Kong and Macau from the UN list of non-self-governing territories, and as a result, Hong Kong and Macau, as former colonies of the British and Portuguese empires, lost the right of self-determination. And we lost our right of self-determination because China pressured the UN to remove us from that list. So the years 1971 and 1972 in many ways have shaped our struggle in Taiwan and in Hong Kong in 2019. And these are just some of the ways that history continues to affect what we're facing today. So it means a lot for me to be here in support for Taiwanese representation in the UN, because I think the UN had made a mistake in 1971 to remove Taiwan and made a mistake in 1972 to remove Hong Kong, so that we have lost our right of self-determination. Hong Kong today continues to fight for self-determination because we're thinking about what happens in 2047 when one country, two system officially expires. The expectation is that Hong Kong will fully become a part of China, but that is clearly not what my generation and generations even younger than me want to see. The youngest protester who has been arrested this summer in Hong Kong is 12 years old. There are young boys and girls who have been beaten by the police and on the streets at the airport, in subway stations. In fact, as I'm speaking right now, the police have closed a number of MTR stations in Hong Kong: Mong Kok, Sha Tin, which is actually where I live in Hong Kong, Tai Po Market. The police have also tried to stop protests at the airport, and they shut down basically the Airport Express, which is the train service to airport, and at the Hong Kong Island in Central, which is the central business district. There were shotguns held by the police today, random searches. Hong Kong is a police state today, and it's completely unimaginable just half a year ago. So we've reached the point of no return, and I think it's very important for the international community to support us. And then just one last thing, currently I'm based in Washington, where I'm studying at Georgetown, but I'm also working along with my colleagues at the Mosisto, Joshua Wong and Nathan Law, etc., on the Hong Kong Human Rights and Democracy Act, which I'm sure many of you have been hearing about. If you can spare half an hour of your time sometime soon, please call your congressman and senator to support the bill. It is widely supported by Hong Kong civil society, and it would be very helpful for the US to reevaluate its policy on Hong Kong, so that it's just not about cultural exchange and economic ties, but to put human rights and democracy at the very center of it. Thank you.
Support Hong Kong! Support Hong Kong! At this rally today, we have many opportunities for all the attendees to show their support